Black magic doll? Oh.
A journal.
Yellow diary.
Might be useful.
Oh, that's right. We got a whole fuckload of books. Look at all these books. Holy shit. Sword for witches. Who are the hunters, you ask? Folk like you and yours, I reply. The decent, kind, haters of lies, doers of good, the kind who live according to the gods' laws and nature's laws too. Those disgusted by the machinations of witches, magickas, and non-humans. All that separates us from common folk is that we've courage to take up arms to defend our lands from evil, to slice out the gangrene that eats us from within. We haven't a leader. We haven't forts or land, though God's fearing Radovid supports us with his gold at times. We've not sworn him nor any other ruler any oath. We serve only the eternal fire, and we listen only to our own conscience. Who can join us? Any who is right of soul and sound of body. You can find us in every larger city in the north. We will give you board, lodging, and a weapon. We will explain how to spot the telltale signs of evil, birthmarks in strange and arcane shapes, smooth skin on the matron, aged more than 30 springs, and black cats kept in the yard, to name but a few. We will show you how to defend yourself from witchcraft, how to tame and snuff out magical elements, and Demeritium, that's a tough one. We will instruct you how to squeeze the sinner's darkest secrets out of them with the hot iron, and how to grant them cleansing death with the help of the sacred fire. Gnomish prankings. Scrub the greasings from a dog's ear, soak in cotton twine, place in a new lamp of greenish hue, and set a lamp betwixt an eager crowd, forsooth shall they swear that a dog's head they beheld, and this shall be no sorcery, but good betidings. For the Prince of Elander's nuptials, a paltry gnome, armed with a miniature cutlass behind himself in a pie, when guests partook of the princely banquet, and on jumped out the besabered gnome, giving a terrible fright to all at first, then causing much merriment once the jest was figured. A cynocephalus, or a dog-head in our tongue, a beast that in the wastes of Zangbar dwells, has the corpus of a man but the head of a dog. The Prince of Elander did receive such a specimen from those far-off lands. The cynocephalus lets stream its urine with the tolling of every hour, both day and night, and this is why the Zagabarians engrave its likeness on timepieces and compasses. Holy hell. Zeracania. Holy gee, guys, really? During my travels, I have seen countless extraordinary places. The primeval wilds of Brokalon, with trees so high the tips disappear in the clouds, dwarven chambers carved into the guts of the Mahaka Mountains, with walls plated in pure gold, the ice palace of Pont Vanus adorned with stained frost windows, yet none of these made such an impression on me as did the rightly famed Zeracania. Yet while I was traversing the fiery mountains, I feared disappointment had waited me on the other side. I had heard many a fantastic tale about Zeracania, about its trackless sands burnt white by the sun, its golden-scaled dragons weaving their nests amidst the dunes, its hunchbacked horses able to survive weeks without even a swallow of water, yet none seemed to me at all plausible. I was sure all the sensations were but the figments of some bard's overactive imagination. I know this will be as hard for you to believe, dear reader, as it once was for me, but all of the unbelievable tales are true. Not only that, during my many months of travel, I came across wonders far surpassing those any prior travelogues mentioned. I saw temples dedicated to the worship of dragons. I heard their voice, almost human, but reverberating with 1,000 echoes. I met warrior maids clad in leopard skins, tattooed from head to foot and giving no ground to witchers in mastery of the blade. I saw mages who channeled power from fire. I saw seemingly harmless flies whose solitary bite would make a man fall into a deep slumber, never to awake save to die. In short, Zeracania is a land where the fantastic is normal and the impossible occurs daily. While Nifegrad's emperor wields absolute power, harshly crushing the slightest sign of disobedience, opposing forces continue to exist within the empire. By this I do not mean the disgruntled leaders of conquered provinces, but the magnates within the city of 1,000 towers who are unhappy with the current leadership. This conflict between the emperors and the noble houses of Nilfgaard, the capital, dates back many years. All the princes of the blood and magnates expected their ruler to wed one of their daughters and sire an heir with one of their own. The Emperor, however, had other plans. This proved a slap in the face for all the great families from which he refused to take a bride. The Nilfgaardian opposition patiently waits for the Emperor to slip up, for some event to occur which will weaken its authority, be it an economic crisis or defeat in a battle. A secret conspiracy lies ready to seize such a moment, to incite the disaffected, assassinate the Emperor, and carry out a coup d'etat, culminating with one of their own number ascending to the throne. For obvious reasons, only a limited few know of this conspiracy. But any shrewd observer of Nilfgaardian politics can read the signs of its workings. So long as men are men and the world is as it is, certain dynamics will forever remain the same, and the disconnected will always form subversive societies with their secret signs and hidden agendas.
Oh, baby! Hail, Nightmare Trixie! Buzziger!
Oh, you tricksy hobbitses! You tricksy hobbitses. Welcome, Nightmare. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Good to have you. You look like Crowley from Supernatural. Hello, Moosey. Oh, Moosey, Moosey, Moosey. What does he call it? Moosey? He calls, oh, God, I can't remember his name now. It's like, I'm blanking on it. It's Dean and... Oh my fucking God. I've seen this series like 3 times in a row. I'm blanking on the 2 main characters. Dean and... Fuck. Anyway. Oh, Squirrel. Sam and Dean. Jesus Christ. I can't believe I blanked on that. Yeah. Moose and Squirrel. The Chronicles of Redania. Vridank the Elf. Despite what one might conclude from his moniker, not one drop of elven blood flowed in King Vridank's veins. They called him the Elf because of his exceptional beauty, and for the great admiration he felt for Iron City. This fascination, seemingly harmless, would have horrible long-term consequences. King Vridank spit in the face of all laws and customs, chose as his wife a half-elf, and one of low status at that, known as Beatrix von Kovir. The fruit of his regrettable and short-lived mésalliance was a Falca, who later fomented bloody revolt against her own father. Though this uprising was ultimately extinguished and Falca herself burned at the stake, the young state was thereafter thrown into chaos for years to come. I don't know. I'm just trying shit out. Whatever. Just try it out, voice. Okay, the Wild Hunt. From farmers and herdsmen, milkmaids to midwives, all the common folk of the continent whisper, sharing tales of a wraithly procession pounding across the sky. The Wild Hunt, they call it. Winds and gales, storms and blizzards arise when it is sighted, and all grows cold, though the sun shone bright moments before. Some remember only the cold from the shock of the encounter, and claim the riders come always in winter. But nay, this is not so. The hunt brings its own ice. Death and war gallop in its wake, or so the superstition goes. Yet evil enough is the hunt itself. It takes folk captive youths, most often in the prime of their wildling years, with 10 to 20 summers behind them, and the hunt rushes in and they disappear, only to return long years later, with no memory of what passed in the time between. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Okay. No one can claim to have traveled the Northern Realms who has not been to Novigrad. If I were forced to list what during my many meanderings has made the greatest impression on me, it would be precisely this great and yet at the same time free city. A metropolis worthy of the Empire. Its only flaw is the civilization Nilfgaard carries with her has not yet enlightened it. That is why hordes of reactionary cultists of the Eternal Fire dwell in the midst of its excellent buildings and superb commercial infrastructure. One feels as though superstition is how the local hierarch and his temple gods cement their power over the city dwellers, and many they are to control, for the city counts no less than 30,000 of inhabitants. While strolling through its fabulous port, surrounded by marvels of architecture, it is hard to imagine that centuries ago Novigrad was a mere minor elven townstead. When the city fell into the hands of the Nordlings, its problems grew exponentially, for, as is well known, the people of the North can do a great many things, but peaceful and orderly cohabitation is not one of them. And so Novigrad first belonged to Redania, and then fell under Temerian rule, until finally, after endless compromises and bargains, it at last became a free city. But is the city truly free? I dare to doubt it. Redanian influence makes itself felt too strong on every street corner, and the fact that the city is located with Radovid's territory speaks for itself. While wandering the city streets, I came across 4 watermills, 8 banks, and nearly 19 pawn shops. There are also a great many houses of simple pleasures, such as taverns and brothels, and Novigrad's commitment to matters of faith is borne witness to by the fact that the city contains no less than, I kid you not, 19 temples to the eternal fire. What more can be said? I think Novigrad has all the makings of the capital of the world, and perhaps that is what it will one day become. First, however, someone needs to bring order within her walls. What is non-human? The answer is simple. As the very name suggests. Oh shit, we gotta do this up!
Let's do it! Hail! Domiku! Berserker! Domiku! Welcome to Ziconia.
It's good to have you. Thank you so much, Domiku. Right. As the very name suggests, it is something which resembles and yet nevertheless is not a human. Though it walks on 2 legs, speaks a tongue similar to our own, and dresses in a similar attire, it all the same has more in common with the base beast than nobleman. Dwarves are like moles. They feel best underground and avoid direct sunlight. They like to live in filth, forever smudging themselves in mud and slime. They love everything that can be found within the earth. Rocks, metal, minerals of all shape and color. It also is said that the kindred moles, they feed most readily on worms, roaches, and other night crawlers. Halflings, for their part, are more reminiscent of gophers, fat, lazy, and loud in the typical rodent way. Their minds are filled only with thoughts of food and drink, which they steal from other nobler beasts and greedily squirrel away in their hovels. They are marked by cruel craftiness. You could be dying of hunger and they would not share a meal with you. You could be howling from poverty and they could be swimming in gold, and yet they would still fleece you to the last crown. You could do nothing but good to them and they would still stab a knife in your back. Elves, in turn, seem related to birds of prey that dwell in far-off Zeracania. They care most for colored feathers. They would most readily spend all day staring at their reflections in the water and singing their own praises. They are so awash in self-love that they no longer feel any desire towards members of the opposite sex of their own species. Their appearance, unquestionably pleasant to the eye, is highly misleading, for they are extraordinarily cruel, and any who judge them by looks alone, they first dupe, then kill in cold blood. Best proof of this, the so-called Scoia'tael, bandits that claim to fight for freedom, but in truth only long to kill humans. All of these vile so-called elder races, to our great fortune, slowly dying out. Joy fills the heart of every right-thinking man at the thought that this great-grandchildren will never know them, that in their day, dwarves, halflings, and elves will be mere fairy tale characters used to scare young, impressionable children. Yeah, that guy's... She Who Knows. Folks say there were 4 at first. The mother, She Who Knows, the Lady of the Wood, came here from a faraway land, and since she suffered terribly from loneliness, she made 3 daughters out of dirt and water. Long, long time ago, the mother, who sole ruler of all Velen, her daughters brought her the people's request and served as her voice. Each spring, sacrifices of grain, animals, and men were made to the Lady of the Wood on her special night. Yet, as the years passed, the Lady of the Wood slipped deeper and deeper into madness. Her madness eventually spread over the land. Men took to abandoning their homes and setting out into the bog, where they became food for the beast. Before long, Velen was drowning in blood. The daughters saw their land nearing destruction and took upon themselves to save it. When spring came once more, and with it the night of sacrifices, they killed their mother and buried her in the bog. Her blood watered the oak atop Odd Serban, and from then on the tree grew wholesome and hearty fruit for the people. And as for the lady's immortal soul, it refused to leave its beloved land, and so the sisters imprisoned it, and to this day lies trapped beneath the whispering hillock, where it thrashes about in powerless rage. Royal lineages of the North. Cyrilla Fiona Ellen Rhiannon, born in 1251, heiress to the throne of Sintra, Princess of Brugg and Duchess of Sodden, heiress to the Innis Ard Skellig and Innis Ann Skellig, and the suzerain of Atre and Abiara, daughter of Pavetta, see Pavetta Fiona Ellen, and your urchin of Erlenwald, see Emir von Emrys, granddaughter of the famous lioness of Sintra, Queen Calath, see Calath Fiona Rhiannon. A shipwreck occurred during a journey from Sintra to Skellig, which took the lives of the urchin Pavetta. Cyrilla's further upbringing was then entrusted to her grandmother. In 1260, afraid of the looming Nilfgaardian threat, Queen Calath sent Cyrilla to the court of King Ervil, see Ervil of Verdun, where heiress of Sintra was to marry the heir to the throne of Verdun, Prince Kistrin, see Kistrin of Verdun, although allying with Verdun and gaining the aid of that realm's army was at the time Calath's top priority. No marriage ever occurred, and Cyrilla returned to her grandmother's court in 1262 during the so-called Sintra massacre. Cyrilla went missing. Love. The collected verse of Gonzalo di Vercio. Oh, Di Vercio. Let's give this guy some love. To love is to build a house of cards, or play a game of chess. But one wrong word or ill thought move, and you must restart it all afresh. Tide, whenever I catch the tide recede, cold coils of fear grip round my heart. Will the seas sneak back, calm and sure, in the night, in the dark of night, as they have before? Or will they stay on distant shores, leaving crushed shells and washed up dreams as memories of serfs of yore? And last but not least, what shall become of Temeria? Temeria, a land where milk and honey once flowed. In what did she wrong the gods that they should treat her so cruelly? The pearl of the north, to some, she proved a galloping range for Nilfgaardian cavalry. To others, as a country, it survived 2 previous wars against the Empire. It was here that the war's bloodiest battles were fought. It was in Temeria where their most bestial deeds were wrought. It was Temerian civilians who bore the full brunt of these war's horrors. And bear them we did, bravely and steadfastly, until the demise of our great protector, King Foltest. Then Providence turned its fickle face from Temeria. Murdered most treacherously, Foltest failed to leave Temeria a worthy successor. And so all manner of cur soon fell upon her, tearing her apart like so much carrion. She had no more allies then. None remembered that we had once been the armor protecting the north from the designs of the mad dancer, he who had the gravestones of his foes pounded into a ballroom floor. A free and independent Temeria is no more. A dark-faced sun looms over her every rampart. Yet we Temerians live on, and always will, as long as folk believe the usurper who took our beloved capital Vizima, to treat as his property, will forever peer over his shoulder in fear. For in the shadows lurks not one dagger, but the power of a nation of daggers waiting to deal justice's blow. Okay. That's all for the books. Hope you enjoyed that. Maybe we'll find some more someday. Oh, there's the diary. It's happened. Volker sent a petition. Volker sent a petition of our grievances against the Lord to the court of Vizima. Listed all the harms he's done us. Now he killed Now, how he killed Johann for not taking off his cap quick enough. How he trampled our fields when drunk with nary a thought of repayment. How he barged in during Pieter's wedding and demanded his right of the first night, prima nocta. Now we finally got what we begged Melatiel for in our prayers for so long. The judge recognized our grievances and waived all our bonds and duties to the Lord. We can finally strike out on our own. At last we can live as free men. The first day of our freedom. Hovel's not much of a village yet, but to my mind it's better than the most fantastic place. Volker fumed our home with hazelwood, smoked to drive out our evil, buried a marten under the gate to make sure that no thieves cross our threshold, and then he gave me a bracelet, loveliest I've ever seen. Mother said it's foolish to spend so much on a bauble when we haven't plows or hoes, that we ought return it to the merchant. Over my dead body, I'll never take it off. It'll always be there to remind me of Volker, how happy we were that day. They say the Lord is coming to see us, that he wants to make a deal to beg us to return to the village. They say he's calm since his son died, that he's not as quick to anger about small slights. Well, we'll see. One way or the other, another. I've no intention to move 1 inch from here. Good. Save. Ah, what? I can't save? Yes, I can. Save.